Howdy folks, and welcome back to Pool School. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to backwash a typical sand filter. So what do you say we dive right in? Alrighty, before we get started, I want to thank you once again for watching this video. Remind you to like it if you do. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And please share my channel with everyone you know who owns a pool. Also, don't forget to check out my website, poolschooler.com. It'll come across the screen right here, poolschooler.com. It is full of more exclusive members-only content that will help you save even more money servicing your pool yourself. Okay, so I'm at one of my clients' pools and they happen to have a sand filter. Okay, the type of filter is not super important, but this one actually is made by Jandy. All right, it's a very typical sand filter. This one's a little different because they have the Dr. Dryden's Activate glass filter media substitute in this one. And it, again, if you haven't seen my video on that product, please watch it. I'll put a link in the description below this video. But this is a typical backwash valve. It's a piston style valve, okay? And I'll get to that in a second. First thing I'm gonna do is make sure that this pump is not gonna go on. So I'm gonna open the mechanical time clock, make sure there's no way that this pump is gonna go on. I turn it off, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to find a way for where the water to go. Okay, typically you have two options when you backwash a sand filter or even a DE filter. They either have a backwash hose like this one does, which I'm gonna run out that gate and into their front yard, into the grass, and use the water to water their grass. Or sometimes these pumps, these filters, somebody will hard plumb it. So there'll be a pipe that goes here down into the ground and it'll hard plumb out to the street, out to some drain field, or into their sewer line. Again, that's something you want to trust to an expert to find out how to do that for you. That way it saves you, a lot of people like the convenience of that because then it saves them having to have an unsightly backwash hose in their yard. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unwind this hose, run it out to the front yard, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you how we backwash it using the backwash valve. Alrighty, so as you can see, I've got the backwash hose rolled out into the front yard, into their grass. And again, notice that I don't have any twists or kinks in the hose, because if that happens, it can stop the water and it can actually blow up the hose. So I want to make sure that hose is not kinked at all. All right, so I've run it out to the yard. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this backwash valve. In this case, this particular system, when the valve is down, like it is right now, it's in filter mode. That means the water circulates from the pool back through the filter, back to the pool. In this case, I'm going to twist it, and this one I'm going to lift it up, twist it, and raise it up till it locks in place. And now it's in backwash mode, okay? That's all there is to it. I'm going to fire up the pump. You'll notice the pump will prime. I had it opened up a second ago to clean the pump basket, so it's taking a second. But you watch, and you'll see that hose start to fill up. The water will start to flow out the hose into the lawn, into the grass, and you'll notice that the water coming out is going to be fairly dirty to begin with. It takes a second. See, it's kind of got a brownish tinge to it. That's the dirt in the sand filter that's flushing out, okay? Again, remember, this one has the glass sand substitute, which works a whole lot better, way more efficient as DE without the risk. And we're gonna backwash this for about 1.5 to 2.5 minutes till that water runs clear. I'm not gonna have you watch it for the whole time. I'm just gonna pause it and I'll show you what it looks like when it's running clear. Again, about 1.5 to 2.5 minutes. It is very important that when you backwash your pool that there is enough, your filter, whether it's sand or DE, that there is enough water in the pool. This pool is a good example of what I mean. This pool actually doesn't have an auto fill valve, okay? And so they have to keep adding water to their pool. Don't worry about the leaves, it's fall and there's stuff coming off of these trees. And so every time I come here each week, there's all this stuff this time of year. But anyway, what I try to tell people is whether you have an auto filler or whether you add water to your pool manually, you want to keep your pool water level about halfway up the tile line. If you notice, I'm going to zoom into the tile line. And you notice the water is just about halfway up. They just have filled it a little bit more. Another way to tell is look at your skimmer opening. And if you notice the skimmer opening, you want half of that opening covered with water at halfway up the tile line there. So that's a good indicator of how high you want your water, okay? And again, as long as you have enough water in there, you should be able to backwash it without sucking air through your skimmer, okay? Make sure you make note of that. Okay, so it has been about 1.5 minutes since I started this backwash process with the water running and the pump running, and you'll notice the water coming out is pretty clear now. So So at this point, I'm going to go back to the pump, shut the pump off, and then I'm going to close the backwash valve. Okay, I'm back at the pump. I've shut the pump off. Backwash valve is still open. I'm going to twist this and put straight downward pressure on it and close the backwash valve, okay? It's going to go into a little groove. Can you see that little tab right there, the little notch? It fits into that, slips in, twist, and it's closed. Now sometimes, just as a quick note, sometimes these backwash valves, there's O-rings in there and they need to be lubricated. So I've done another video on how to lubricate the O-rings of a backwash valve. Please check that video out. I'll put a link to that video in the description below this video. But again, you can always tell if you need to lubricate or maybe replace the backwash O-rings is if this is really tight. But again, this moves pretty easy. It comes up pretty easy and it locks down pretty easy. So it's in pretty good shape, so I don't have to worry about it. It's pretty smooth. Again, an indicator, it gets a little tight, it gets a little hard to move, and then I kind of tend to either lubricate the O-rings, or anytime I lubricate O-rings, I always have an extra set in case when I lift it out, I notice that one of the O-rings is broken, then it's time to replace them, okay? And that's pretty much it. Now that I've got it closed, obviously, I'm gonna roll the hose back up. And again, I'm gonna kind of like bleed it out just by lifting it from this end all the way down to the other end and let all the water drain out like a hose. And then I'm gonna roll it back up and turn the pump back on. Make sure that there is no water going back into that backwash hose. All right, and I'm good to go. And that's pretty much it. So folks, there you have it. That's a very hopefully brief video on how to backwash a sand filter. I hope it made sense. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section below this video, or you can email me directly. My email address is going to come across the bottom of the screen right here. As always, it is kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Once again, kennypoolschool@gmail.com. I want to thank you again for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And until we meet again, remember to have fun, be safe, and always watch those kids and elderly folk and pets around water. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.